This morning I burned my thumb trying to salvage the hot oil left from making beignets for the girls. The burn wasn't bad, but it got the day off to a lively start. I'd already ground lots of rye flour, so after breakfast we began making Grandma Olson's Swedish rye bread. I mixed up the yeast. Allison added mashed potatoes. Carrie the milk. Both of them mixed in some flour to make a sponge, while we all sang along with my voice tapes. I dropped an egg. While I cleaned the galley floor, the girls scraped mud from their shoes in the cockpit. When done, Allison climbed back into her bunk and asked to finish reading her book. Carrie and I went to the garden. We took my green wagon up the dock and through the boatyard, where a pile of rubble had been dumped. We shoveled pebbles into the wagon and carted the load around to the back of John Fritz's welding shop to my garden. It took several trips to fill the half barrels with a good drainage layer. Carrie chatted about Arizona. The yard dogs kept us company. At lunchtime we came back to the boat. The girls began theirs with a bowl of cereal, then another. Bananas to both, oranges next, followed by a piece of bologna, a piece of bread, and then one more of each, but this time together. I fixed turkey sandwiches for Bill. Allie asked for one too, but didn't finish it. They both tried, twice, a small bite of Bill's picante dill pickle. Didn't like them either time. To my liverwurst sandwich, they kept saying, yuck, but tried some anyway. Then a cookie for dessert. After lunch, it was time to see if the Willis twins were home from school, so off they went, down our dock, through the yard, and over to the inner basin. I deflated my bread sponge, set it to rise, and followed them up to the boatyard to help Bill load our storage boxes. An hour later, I returned to Pilar, kneaded and shaped 5 loaves of bread, took the pork roast out of the ice chest, seasoned it for dinner, and returned to helping Bill, while the loaves of bread rose again in their pans. 45 minutes later, I was back again on board Pilar, picking up 3 of the loaves and trotting them down to Halcyon's oven. I unlocked her, removed Rick's pots from the oven, stuck my loaves inside to bake, and left. On the long walk back to Pilar, I fought off the voice that told me, never leave a boat stove unattended, and prayed that nothing would blow up or burn while I was gone. The 2 sets of twins had swapped sisters. Carrie and Sandra were playing on the Nancy L as I passed. Allie and Stephanie waved to me from the bank. They were working on their raft. Aboard Pilar, I started a fire in our stove and began grinding more flour. Stephen Willis, having finished his homework, and at 10, not interested in joining the girls, dropped by for a chat. He helped grind flour while I got the roast in the oven. Then the 2 of us carefully raced back to Halcyon with the last 2 loaves of bread to be baked. The aroma of the 3 in the oven reached us long before we stepped aboard, and I was afraid they must be burned. But when we opened the oven, out came the most perfect golden loaves I've ever made. We popped the other 2 in and left for the Willis's boat. Stephen taking one of the hot loaves with him, he went below. I continued on to Mikasa, dropping off a loaf for Laird before taking the last loaf, with Bill, over to the Nolan family. It was a thank you note to Wendy for the gift of a teacup when I was sick. Walking back through the parking area, we admired the tomato plants in the Willis's garden, as well as the Mexican workers' squash vines and young corn stalks hidden in the marina's flower beds. We stop at the yard at Leon and Lil's boat for just a minute, and Leon tells us about one of the lunch crowd who'd wandered by his 57-foot ferro cement hull that afternoon. A lot of them have passed by in the 10 years Leon has been at Pete's. Today, when asked how long it takes to build a boat like his, Leon told him, "Oh, it's hard to get more than 2 a year." Leon's still fussing with the name on his boat, Cloud 9, trying to get it painted just right. Laird's little joke of taping the banner Gumpucky Maru on the stern was funny to everyone but Leon. I leave Bill at our work van and head back to the boat. Now the afternoon is almost gone. The tide is at its muddiest low, Carrie and Sandra are now at our end of the marina, playing with a block of styrofoam on the bank as I walk by. Aboard Pilar, I check on the roast, add more firewood to the stove, finish grinding the pastry flour for pancakes tomorrow, and dawdle too long over a cup of coffee while selecting a quote to enclose with the birthday card for Al Willis. In the meantime, Carrie and Sandra's block of foam has drifted away from them and stuck itself on the mud bank. Voices call out to me, "Aunt Diane, can we go get our boat?" "No, you'll get stuck in the mud. The tide is out." "But, Aunt Diane, we did it yesterday and didn't get stuck." No. Oh, all right. I notice the time, quickly tape the card to Al's bottle of sherry, and start up the companionway, planning on retrieving the bread from Halcyon after leaving the gift with Nancy. At the top of the ladder, I spy Sandra, Carrie's words reaching me simultaneously. "Aunt Diane, Sandra's stuck in the mud." And indeed she is, up to her kneecaps. I holler, okay, I'm coming," and go below again to take off my shoes, put on my fall weather boots, and remember my bread, which has been baking much too long already. Sherry bottle in hand, I leave the boat and head down the dock, past the two of them who are trying not to laugh while looking contrite. Sandra is stuck, but not in any danger, so I tell her she's fine, I'll be right back, and clomp off to Halcyon as fast as I can run. Passing the Willis's boat first, I take a second to leave the birthday gift on board and continue on down the dock. A dangerously rich smell of browning bread greets me as I climb aboard, but once again, I'm delighted to find great-looking loaves. No time to bask. Focus is needed. Turn off the oven, turn off the propane switch, put back the shelves, the pans, grab my pans with hot pads, set them outside while locking the boat, pick up the pans again, and plump back to Sandra and Carrie. Daylight is beginning to fade on the two expectant faces as they watch me on the bank above them, searching for a place among the barrels and boards that is high enough to keep the bread out of the yard dog's reach. I pull off my jacket, set it next to the bread, begin looking for the best way down to the girls. 1 step, 2 steps. I'm fine. This is going to work. The 3rd step, I slip, sliding all the way to the bottom on my side. Carrie helps me up, shrieking, "Aunt Diane!" while choking with laughter. We're all laughing, including the growing crowd on the bank. Shouts of encouragement are floating out to us as I carefully near Sandra, reaching her, finally, without getting stuck myself. She clings to me as each foot is slowly sucked free of the mud and her shoes. We've tossed their styrofoam boat behind us so she can use it as a first step towards Carrie and the others who've come to help. I pull her shoes from the mud and turn to go too. I can't. My foot is stuck. I must sit on the block of foam to slip my stockinged foot from the trapped boot, then slowly wiggle the boot loose from the mud. My sock is now muddy, so I take it off, push the bare foot into the freed boat, take a cautious step forward, and realize my left boot has stuck into the mud. Helpful hands are extended, and eventually we reach the upper bank and join the group of people gathered there. Everyone is jollied by the silliness of the situation except Sandra, who's trying to cry, but is so unconvincing that we won't let her continue. Nancy arrives, gives her hugs and pets, isn't a bit concerned about the muddy clothes, and enjoys the story as much as anyone. In the nearing dark, our conversations linger, taper off. Gradually our neighbors disperse, return to their boats. Ellie and Carrie are both covered with mud. We give them the key to the harbor showers, Bill fetching their towels and soap, clean clothes from the boat. I return to Pilar with the 2 loaves of bread. The kerosene lamps are lit. The pork roast is fragrant, nearly done. The girls are hungry when they come back. They want peas and corn with their mashed potatoes and meat. 2 cans of corn because they love corn. Everyone eats an extra slice of Grandma Olson's Swedish rye bread with their dinner. While I clear the dishes, Bill reads us a story. The girls fall asleep. It is late. I take the kettle of hot water from the stove to begin washing dishes and realize the last water tank has run dry.